Hi there! Thank you so much for checking back. Now this week's video is something that I've heard from a lot of you, some of my subscribers as well as on Twitter, who either have a friend or you yourself are suffering from an eating disorder and you're a man. Now I know that a lot of us are thinking, yeah, I know that guys had eating disorders, but it's something that I wanted to address because, to be honest, the symptoms can be different. There's a lot more stigma and different stereotypes that come along with a guy having an eating disorder. And I just want to make sure that I'm addressing all eating disorders, that nobody's being left out. And I also welcome comments and questions and things that you want me to address, because this is just gonna blah, blah, sorry. This is just going to kind of be an overview of what an eating disorder looks like in a man and how it's different from in women. Now, the first thing is that a lot of people will assume that a guy with an eating disorder is homosexual. Now, I know that in the homosexual community that eating disorders are more prevalent in men, but not all eating disorders in men are from homosexual men. So that's a stigma in and of itself. I heard from a lot of you guys out there that people will assume that you're gay just because you have an eating disorder, and one has nothing to do with the other, right? And that's really frustrating. And I find that very frustrating from a therapeutic side, because it's even harder then for you to even talk about it, because if you tell somebody, then they might assume something completely separate about your life than what's really going on in your eating disorder, right? Now, the way that it kind of differs from men to women is that men usually have an exercise problem. That's not saying all of you do, but a lot of guys tend to focus on over-exercise and compulsive exercise. And usually a lot of the research, and like I said, these are all generalizations, this is just an overview, but a lot of the research says that men with eating disorders usually want to excel at a sport, or they tried out, let's say maybe you tried out in high school or middle school and you didn't make the team, and you're working really hard to make the team or to prove that you are good enough for however you're making it work in your brain. We're trying to be really good at a sport, and so that's why men usually tend to over-exercise. And another thing that's very different from men and women is that women usually have a certain type of person that we see, whether it's in the media, on TV, when we're walking down the street, whatever. A lot of eating disorder women think thin is better. I want to be really skinny. That's kind of the way that a woman tends to focus on her eating disorder. And like I said, I'm generalizing, but a guy doesn't have a set way that they want to look. Some people might want to be a thinner guy, like a Mick Jagger or something, or somebody might want to be bulked up like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or, more like a David Beckham or there's all sorts of types of men, and women find all sorts of different types of men attractive. And in magazines, there's all sorts of different types of men. And they've even banned having too skinny of male models walking the runway, which is great, but why haven't they done it for women? That just really pisses me off. But anyway, so that can be really difficult because your symptoms will be different if you're trying to look like a Arnold Schwarzenegger or if you're trying to look like a Mick Jagger. Those are two totally different body types. And that's why a lot of men with eating disorders go undiagnosed. And to be honest, to me, that's really sad that as a therapist and as a community of eating disorder professionals, that we're not able to properly help you. So I apologize for the fact that it goes unrecognized. One of the studies that I quote a lot when I'm reaching out to other people and talking about eating disorders is that over 8 million people in the United States suffer from eating disorders. And of those, 7 million are women. Okay, but that leaves 1 million guys having trouble with an eating disorder. And it goes undiagnosed and it, unrecognized, and you're afraid to talk about it because the stigma is even bigger, right? So I encourage you, talk about it. Let us know how it is. Let us know what goes on. Let us know if you found a professional that's really helpful. If you have anything that we can use and we can share, because I'm sure many of us have known someone who's had an eating disorder, or we've, thought that they might have an issue with overexercise. And this can be great information to help share. And let's break through the stigma. Everybody is different. Women, men, every eating disorder is different. Why should one go untreated while the other is more widely talked about. That doesn't make any sense to me. So let's keep talking about it. And I did look up so excuse me while I look something up. I have a list of different programs that take men, because unfortunately I've worked at 4 different treatment centers and none of them accepted men. And that was something really frustrating. I had one guy that I did see on the outpatient level, but to be in groups and stuff wasn't accepted. So there are a couple of centers that do focus on men with eating disorders, and they are Rogers Memorial Hospital in Wyoming, River Oaks Hospital in New Orleans, Louisiana, Eating Disorder Program at the University of Iowa in Iowa City, the Center for Eating Disorders at Shepherd Pratt, and that's a great program. I've had a few women come from there as well, because they do have a woman program, but they also have a men's program, and that's in Baltimore. And they have Redstone in Remuda Ranch for boys, so that's more like adolescents and everything. But I know Remuda Ranch also has a women's program. So those are just some resources. Help spread the word. Let people know there is treatment available out there, and you don't have to suffer in silence. We're all working together. This is a community. This is something that we all can help support each other on, right? So let's break through the stigmas. Let's keep spreading the word. Retweet this video so people know. Share it. Post, like it, whatever, so that we let people know that just because you're a man doesn't mean that you can't have an eating disorder, and it also doesn't mean that you're gay, right? It's a totally separate issue. And don't forget to check out my website. I have a free workbook on there, and it's not gender specific in any way. You can click on the little tab, it says workbook, and you can download it from there. It has some videos and information that could be really helpful. And let's keep working together, right? No one's alone. We're all in this together as we work towards a healthy mind and a healthy body.